What is up, everybody? We're back here at King Film Sports for the official 2024 NFL playoff prediction here. We're going to be going through the AFC and NFC brackets, going through all of the rounds. I'm going to be predicting a winner for each game, giving out my analysis until we crown the eventual Super Bowl champion here. So we started out in the AFC with the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans, the 4-5 matchup. And boy, are people going to be excited for this one. CJ Stroud and this young Texans team against the veteran Cleveland Browns, who have dealt with a lot this season, a lot of injuries, a lot of starting quarterbacks. But they are here with an 11-6 record. And in this one, I'm going to be taking the Cleveland Browns to get this win on the road here. I just think that they're the more talented team, and I think that they're the better coach team. Don't get me wrong. I think DeMeco Ryans is a great leader of the Houston Texans here. I think he's a great defensive mind, but I just think that Kevin Stefanski will be one step ahead of him here with these offensive play calls, and I just think that the Browns are better. I mean, we saw this game 3 weeks ago, given the Texans did not have CJ Stroud as their quarterback, but I just don't think that Stroud makes that much of a difference. I know that he's been elite so far this season, but this Browns defense has been elite in their own right. I think that they'll stifle him there. I think it'll be a very close game. I think that the Browns win by one possession, though. Next, we get to the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs here coming up on Saturday night. This one will be a doozy in Kansas City, but I'm going to be taking the Kansas City Chiefs here. Not like they've looked great this season so far, but anything close to their regular postseason form at home with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid as a head coach will get it done here against this Dolphins team. This Dolphins team has not looked great the last couple of weeks. Maybe this is a regression spot. Maybe they come out, look inspired here on the road. But to put it simply, they haven't beaten many good teams this season. I think the record against winning teams so far this season is something around 1-5, and that one game was a very close win against the Cowboys. So I just think on the road, this is a tough spot for Tua, and this Dolphins team was faded as the years gone along. Not to mention that they've had some trouble with injuries there. So I think that Tua will have a tough time against this rejuvenated Chiefs defense, and the Chiefs also did get to rest a lot of guys coming into this week here. So I just think the Chiefs on extended rest with this game here at home, Mahomes will win it there. Then you get to the Steelers and the Bills, and this one could potentially be intriguing because this Bills team always plays to the level of its competition here. They were obviously 6-6, 5-game winning streak, although a lot of the games were close, except for that Cowboys game, which they blew them out there. But this team goes as Josh Allen goes, and he makes a lot of stupid mistakes, but he can also be Superman. They will not need that. They will just need him to be a game manager in this one, because this Buffalo defense will be able to hold down Mason Rudolph as long as they can contain the explosive plays to George Pickens and Deontay Johnson down the field, as I think they will be able to. So as long as Josh Allen contains himself, has less than 2 turnovers in this game, I think that Buffalo will win by a lot. So give me the Bills to advance there. So that brings us to 2 great matchups in the divisional round. You've got the Cleveland Browns and Baltimore Ravens here. AFC North contest, and this one will be great. You obviously have Joe Flacco, who quarterbacked this Ravens team for over a decade, won them a Super Bowl earlier in his career, and now he will be on the rival Cleveland Browns here. And these teams split during the regular season. The first one, though, Deshaun Watson was supposed to play, then announced that he couldn't play the morning of the game, so then Dorian Thompson-Robinson had to take over, and obviously things did not go swimmingly that day at home for the Cleveland Browns. But then later in the season, they played a shootout in Baltimore where Deshaun Watson led the Browns to victory in his final game before he was out with injury for the season. So this one will be interesting here. This Ravens defense has played great at home, but was not great that game earlier against Cleveland. I think this one is going to be great. Perennially, the better playoff performer between these two has been Flacco. Now, obviously, he's played a lot more playoff games than the Ravens have, but that could end up mattering. Also, the Browns could have some momentum that they bring from this past week, from that wild card weekend victory that I have them getting over the Texans here. And keep in mind that Lamar and some other starters didn't even play in Week 18 against the Steelers. Might be a bit of a hangover in the first half there. If this game takes place, I'm definitely taking the Browns in the points spread-wise, but for the money line, I just have too much faith in this Ravens team, especially that defense. I think they will make the requisite plays. I think this one will be very low scoring here. Maybe you'll get some elements in Baltimore, but give me the Ravens to win that one very close at home. And then that brings us to the Chiefs and the Bills, another great matchup here in the divisional round. These two teams played in 2020 and 2021, both times in Kansas City, though. That 2021 divisional game was one to remember there, going to overtime. What a shootout thriller between Mahomes and Allen. I do not think that we'll get that one again just because of the state of this Chiefs offense. I think this one will be a lot lower scoring, but I do think it will be as close. These teams always play in the regular season in Kansas City, and those ones are always close. The Bills tend to win those games, but can they finally get over the hump in the playoffs? I have them doing so. Give me this Bills team to win narrowly at home here. And I think that Allen will make a couple mistakes against this Chiefs defense. It will come down to Mahomes against the Buffalo defense here. And I just have not seen enough execution this year to trust them in this spot. And so I'm going to take the Bills to win this game. It would not be surprising if the Chiefs did overcome the Bills in this spot, but I just cannot see them doing so with the state of that offense. So now that brings us to an AFC Championship game between the Baltimore Ravens and Buffalo Bills. And this one will be great. I do not know what the spread would be for this game. The power ratings are very high on the Bills, though, even though it's in Baltimore. I think it would be around to pick them there. So great game. And I would have to take the Baltimore Ravens here just because they would be the more rested team, only playing one game to this point against the Browns, and think that they would be less injured than the Bills potentially at this point. And Lamar Jackson, I might trust him a little bit more to contain himself, to not turn the ball over at this point against Josh Allen, who we've seen be very tumultuous this season with his play. Also, the coaching matchup between John Harbaugh and Sean McDermott, I think, heavily favors the Ravens, and ultimately that playoff atmosphere will be great there. So give me the Ravens to win that one narrowly, although it will be a great game if it does happen in the AFC Championship. So I've got the Ravens advancing to the Super Bowl as the 1 seed there. So that brings us to the NFC side of things, where we started out with the Eagles and Buccaneers in the 4-5 matchup. And boy, does this game look very close now, where it might not have a few weeks ago when the Eagles were 10-1 and Tampa Bay was below 500. The Eagles obviously lost 5 of their last 6. And common storyline with this team, what does this team do well other than their QB sneak? Obviously, their defense has been pretty fraudulent all year. Some would argue that it was last year whenever they played a good quarterback. Certainly got exposed in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs there. But against good quarterbacks this season, they've got diced up, even by some mediocre quarterbacks. So I definitely think that Baker could have a big game in this one. And earlier this season, I think they played in week 3. The Bucs offense just wasn't clicking at that point. The Eagles were looking like a much different team, the team we saw last year. And the offense has had some struggles recently. Devontae Smith injured, A.J. Brown potentially injured, Swift maybe injured as well. And then you have Hurts dealing with an injury with his finger, so you don't know the status of him there. Their offensive line doesn't look as dominant as it did earlier in the season. So this will be an interesting matchup. I'm not too high on Tampa Bay here, but give me them to win at home. I just think that this team has such a good mojo going along with Baker Mayfield. I think that this team peaked a few weeks ago, but I think that they're still playing better right now than the Philadelphia Eagles here. I think that this one will be a very close game, but I just trust Baker against this Philadelphia defense, who I think is one of the worst in the league there. So I think that Tampa Bay will be able to shut down Jalen Hurts good enough to win this game narrowly there. Then we get to a very intriguing matchup. You've got all the storylines you want here. Stafford going back to Detroit, obviously a place he played with for over a decade there. Then he won Super Bowl with the Rams, and then playing against the Jared Goff-led Lions, who obviously led the Rams to a Super Bowl a few years back. In this game, I think that there are a lot of similarities between these two teams, both led by their offenses and great play callers, but give me the Lions to win this one, and I just think that the home field tips the scales in the Lions' favor here. Ford Field will be rocking in this game. It's going to be tough for Stafford and this offense to start this one out off the bat here. I think that they'll get it going down the stretch, but I think that the Lions will get out to an early lead and hold on to this one. And ultimately, I think that Goff and Stafford are comparable as quarterbacks in the league, but I just think that this Lions defense is slightly better than the Rams defense, and that will do enough. Not to mention that I think that the Lions have a massive special teams edge. Rams have one of the worst special teams in the league. Lions are known for their fake punts and hijinks on the special teams side, so I think that they will have one up their sleeve in that side of the game, and I overall just think that they're a better team, so give me the Lions to win there close. Then we get to the Packers and the Cowboys, 7-2. These two teams have played some great playoff matchups through the years, and you've got Jordan Love, the rookie, leading this team against Mike McCarthy, who once coached the Packers to a Super Bowl victory, funny enough, in AT&T Stadium a few years back. In this one, I'm going to take the Cowboys to win. And I just think that they're set up for disaster here, especially with the way that this Cowboys offense is playing and the way that this Green Bay defense is playing. I mean, it would be shocking if the Cowboys did not score at least 30 points in this game. That's just the state of things right now for Green Bay. So you're basically banking on Jordan Love playing a perfect game for this Packers offense for them to have any chance in this game, and I just think that that is so low likelihood. Now, I do think that there are some plays to be made against this Cowboys secondary there, but for rookie Jordan Love, who has looked good at sometimes this season, I just do not think he's going to play well enough there. So give me the Cowboys to win that one against the Packers. So now let's go to the divisional round, where we've got the Niners against the Bucs here. And I'm going to take the Niners to win this one big off the bye. We already saw this matchup earlier in the season. Niners won it sizably, although the Bucs did make a decent comeback effort in the end, but it was still a 14-point margin there. I just do not think that Baker and this Bucs offense has enough to keep up with the Niners here. They might put up around 20 points in that one. I don't think that this Niners defense is elite, like best in the league, but I do think that their offense is, so I think this offense definitely puts out at least 30 points here. I think Brock Purdy avoids the big mistakes. I think that McCaffrey has a big day in this one, and they feast against Tampa Bay at home there to advance the conference championship. Then we get to a great matchup, the Lions at the Cowboys. Already saw this game in week 17 on that Saturday night game, and boy, was that ending controversial here. In this one, I'm taking the Lions to get their revenge in that one. I just think that they got screwed. Dan Campbell will have them ready for this Cowboys team. They're not going to be daunted going into this Dallas environment. I know that the Cowboys did not lose a home game this whole season, but you saw them look very vulnerable in that game against Detroit. And to be honest, a lot of their offense came from that 92-yard broken play touchdown that should have been a safety, which then went for a touchdown to CeeDee Lamb down the field. I think without that, the Lions outplayed Dallas for a lot of that game. So I think that the Lions are just the better team. I think Jared Goff will be poised, and I think he will outplay Dak Prescott. We see this every year with this Cowboys team. They tend to choke and lose a round earlier than people think they are supposed to. So in this one, give me the Lions to get a massive upset in Jerry World to advance in the conference championship. And that brings us to the Niners-Lions here, obviously in San Francisco. And in this one, I think that the Niners are just the more talented team. Give me them to best the Lions at home there. I just think that Purdy against this Lions defense will be dealing in this one, and I think McCaffrey will have a big day as well. This Niners team just has too many weapons on offense to be stopped. Jared Goff will have to play a near perfect game to keep up in this one, and I just don't think that he will be able to. He had a lot of struggles in his years with the Rams, besting this Niners team, and I just do not think that they'll be able to get over the hump there. But great run for them getting to the NFC Championship game, but the Niners finally get back to the Super Bowl. And then that brings us to a rematch of Super Bowl 47 and the Christmas night matchup from earlier this season, Niners versus the Ravens here. And in this one, I've got the Niners getting revenge. Give me the Niners to win this game. I think that they'll be favored in that one, and I do think they win and cover. I just think that that Christmas night game was a game in which the Niners had 4 or 5 turnovers there, and they moved the ball well other than that, but it was just a broken game because of all of the mistakes. In this one, I think Purdy cleans it up there, and the Niners offense is much more efficient because I do think the Baltimore defense is not that good. I mean, they are definitely one of the better defenses in the NFL, but they are not historic in any metric, and I think that Lamar Jackson will regress a little. I think that he will be stopped in big situations by this Niner defense, so I think that this Niners team finally gets over the hump. I have them winning the Super Bowl there, as I did in the preseason here. I had them getting the 1 seed. They ended up getting that, and so I think that this Niners team finally wins the Super Bowl there under Kyle Shanahan. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think of my predictions down below in the comments. Do you think that the Niners win the NFC, potentially win the Super Bowl? Do you agree with my Ravens to win the AFC? Do you think that there's some more upsets? I went pretty conservative here, but I could definitely see some upsets, especially in the first round. Could the Rams beat the Lions there? Could a team like the Dolphins upset the Chiefs? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you all in the next one.